Hello students, today we are going to talk about part 2 of theories of intelligence. The main objectives in this lesson are to basically understand the theories of intelligence. Here we are going to talk about two theories, Sternberg's theory of intelligence and Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. As we have already discussed in the previous lesson, intelligence is the global capacity to understand the world, think rationally and use available resources effectively when faced with challenges. Intelligence is a key construct employed to know how individuals differ from one another. It also provides an understanding on how people adapt their behavior according to the environment they live in. Psychologists have proposed several theories of intelligence. We have already discussed some of these theories in the previous module. In the present module, we will discuss two of the other intelligence theories. First is Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. Howard Gardner proposed the multiple intelligence theory and challenged the classical view of intelligence that majorly highlighted the aspect of logical reasoning. According to Gardner, intelligence is the combination of variety of abilities rather than just one underlying mental capacity or general intelligence. Gardner claims that conventional IQ tests are only good at predicting academic grades, which depends on logical abilities. But they are not enough for predicting other abilities which play a very important role in later career development of an individual. To formulate his theory, gathered evidence by studying adult roles in different cultures. As these roles depend on variety of abilities and skills and are considered to be important for healthy functioning in respective cultures. Intelligence is the ability to solve problem or fashion products that are of consequence in a particular culture, setting or community. The utility and value of each type of intelligence is culturally determined in the sense that individuals' intelligent performance is determined according to high desirability, usefulness and demands of society of a particular types of intelligence. For instance, one type of intelligence highly valued in a particular society may be of a little significance in another. Using such strong evidence, Gardner proposed that humans do not have just intelligence, but rather multiple intelligence. According to Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, there are 9 distinct kinds of intelligences. They are independent of one another and that each person has some level of each of these 9 intelligence. Now, let us understand these 9 types of intelligence proposed by Gardner. First, it is linguistic intelligence. This refers to the ability to use language. It is the capacity to use spoken and written language in a skilled way. Individuals with high verbal or linguistic intelligence are very good in using words and language to express themselves, articulate things and also create new ideas. They can use language fluently, flexibly and creatively. They can learn various languages very easily. Poets, writers, lawyers, journalists, teachers, politicians, philosophers and speakers are some of the people who are very high in this component of intelligence. Then comes logical mathematical intelligence. This is the ability to use logical reasoning and mathematical ability. People who are high on this intelligence have good abstract reasoning, critical thinking and good in dealing with numbers. This type of intelligence correlates well with the traditional notion of intelligence. For example, if a child is good in mathematics, we generally consider him as like very good or intelligent. Scientists, engineers, physicists, economists are the people who generally have high logical mathematical intelligence. They are good in mathematics, calculations, numbers and computer programming. Then let us talk about musical intelligence. This is the ability to use rhythms, sounds and patterns to create, compose and perform music. It involves sensitivity to music and the ability to recognize and manipulate musical patterns. People with high musical intelligence are likely to be singers, music composers, instrumentalists and also musicians. Then the next type of intelligence is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. This is the ability to use and control one's body movements and actions. Dancers and sports people are usually high in such intelligence. Further, it is also required in surgery and crafts, making as it involves skills and dexterity for fine motor movements. People with high bodily kinesthetic intelligence can become good athletes, actors, sport persons, yoga practitioners, surgeons, police officers and also soldiers. Next we will talk about spatial intelligence. This intelligence refers to the capacity to perceive, understand and use spatial and visual information very effectively. Such people are good in spatial orientation, forming visual images and patterns. They can easily visualize the world with the mind's eye, modify the surrounding based upon their perception and recreate aspects of their visual experiences. They are good at remembering images, figures, faces, fine details and visualize things from a different angle. People with high visual or spatial intelligence are likely to be architects, painters, interior designers, pilots, drivers and sailors. Then the next type of intelligence proposed by Gardner is interpersonal intelligence, which refers to the ability to understand others and social interactions. People high on this intelligence can understand the emotions and the perspective of other and relate well to others. They are able to establish good interpersonal relationships with others. They have good and effective communication skills. They also show sensitivity and empathetic understanding towards others. Now, people with high interpersonal intelligence tend to be social workers, managers, psychologists, nurses, counselors, politicians or leaders, teachers also and also spiritual gurus. Interpersonal relation is also very useful to maintain good relation with others. In contrast to interpersonal intelligence is the next one, which is intrapersonal intelligence. This is the ability to understand oneself and know one's thoughts, emotions, feelings, motives and desires and how all these influence the behavior of an individual. It includes awareness about one's strengths, limitations, goals and ambitions in life. Such intelligence includes one's introspective and self-reflective capacities. Such people who are high on intrapersonal intelligence usually are introverted, intuitive type, love to work alone and are least affected by any external events. Various people-oriented careers require intrapersonal intelligence. Example, psychologists and spiritual leaders. Philosophers and writers also have strong intrapersonal intelligence. Next, the eighth type of intelligence here is naturalistic intelligence. This refers to the ability to recognize and understand the various patterns in nature. It includes sensitivity to the nature with all features including flora, fauna and all the biodiversity. Such people appreciate the beauty of nature and the subtle aspect of nature. Hunters, farmers, bird watchers, botanists, biologists and gardeners are some of the people who are high in this aspect of intelligence. Finally, here in Gardner's theory, it is existential intelligence. Gardner added existential intelligence as the ninth intelligence, which refers to the sensitivity and capacity to tackle deep questions which are beyond sensory data, are about human existence, such as meanings of one's life, why we have come to this world, why do we die, where do we go after that, etc. It concerns with the big picture in life and the ultimate truth of life. Cosmologists and philosophers are high on these aspects of intelligence. According to Gardner, each of these intelligences has a specific set of observable and measurable abilities. The first two abilities, that is linguistic and logical mathematical intelligence, strongly contribute to the performance in the traditional school system and in the academic achievement, usually more promoted in our societies. The next three intelligence, namely musical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence and spatial intelligence, are usually associated with arts and is high among people like singers, musicians, dancers, athletes, designers, actors and others who make the world beautiful with their capacities and skills. Our traditional school system usually ignore these intelligences and thus many children high on these capacities do not get enough scope to pursue their interests. Gardner's theory suggests that equal focus should be given to other intelligences and for optimal use of one's potentials. Next, we are going to understand what is Sternberg's triarchic theory of intelligence. Robert Sternberg in 1985 proposed the triarchic theory of intelligence. Sternberg views intelligence as the ability to adapt, to shape and select environment to accomplish one's goals and those of one's society and culture. According to this theory, there are three basic types of intelligence. One is componential or analytical intelligence. Second one is experiential or creative intelligence. And the third one is contextual or practical intelligence. Sternberg theory highlights novelty, adapting capacity and the basic information processing mechanisms. According to Sternberg, the three types of intelligence are integrated and interdependent aspects, but are not multiple intelligence like Gardner's theory of intelligence. Now, let us get into details of these types of intelligence presented by Sternberg's theory. Firstly, let me tell you about componential or analytical intelligence. This intelligence represents the basic cognitive processes. It is the individual's ability to reason, to process information and to solve problems. It basically comprises of three components, which are meta components, performance components and knowledge acquisition components. Meta components are involved in planning, monitoring, controlling and evaluating cognitive processes. Meta components analyze problems and choose strategies for solving. Then performance components, as the name itself indicates, these components execute the strategies framed by meta components. That is, whatever plan we make, when we put that in action, it will be the performance. These components are basic operations which are involved in all types of cognitive acts like encoding stimuli, holding information in short-term memory, performing mental calculations and retrieving information from the long-term memory. Then we talk about knowledge acquisition components. These components are useful in acquiring and storing new knowledge. To understand componential intelligence in a simpler way, we can take an example of exam preparation. When you are preparing for exams, the meta components include making a timetable, collecting the material or notes required for the exam. Then when you actually sit and read, that will be the performance component. This includes holding the information in your memory. Finally, the knowledge acquisition here includes gaining knowledge from the information you read. Thus, it means that you need componential or analytical intelligence when you prepare for your examinations. Next, let us understand about experiential or creative intelligence. This intelligence refers to how individuals deal with new information or tasks. It includes the ability of a person to apply the existing knowledge when encountered with the new problem. This aspect of intelligence basically consists of two factors, novelty and automation. Novelty focuses on how a person reacts to something new or novel. Automation focuses on how a person performs previously learned tasks automatically. For example, for a musician who is learning Indian classical music, the Western music would be novelty. Whereas, when he uses his knowledge of Indian music to understand or learn Western music also, that becomes automation. The final aspect in Sternberg's theory is contextual or practical intelligence. This aspect is associated with cognitive processes necessary to fit in a particular environment. People who are skilled at manipulating the surrounded environment to adapt and fulfill their needs are more likely to be successful in real world situations. Sternberg also pointed that high practical intelligence does not guarantee high score on traditional IQ tests. Practical intelligence relies on three mental processes: adaptation, shaping and selecting. Adaptation refers to how people try best to adapt to fit in the environment. Shaping involves when individual finds it difficult to adapt to the existing environment, then he may try to shape the environment according to his convenience. Selection involves if an individual is successful neither in adapting nor in shaping, finally he prefers selecting a different environment. Now, for example, imagine you go abroad for higher studies. There you will first try to adapt to aspects such as food or eating habits of that particular country. If it is not possible, you try to make an arrangement to cook your own food. But if neither of it is possible, that is adapting to different food or cooking by yourself, the last option would be selecting different environment such as moving to another place. But I would say if you have good practical intelligence, you will either adapt or shape your environment, because this is very much necessary to fit in that particular environment and be successful. So, in conclusion, it can be said that Sternberg triarchic theory of intelligence represents the information processing approach to understand intelligence. This theory does not assess intelligence in the form of intelligence testing. It takes into consideration the performance of an individual in real life situation also. Let me tell you an interesting research study which was done by Sternberg based on his theory. The name of the study is Significance of Successful Intelligence in Academics of Adolescence. Successful intelligence is the integrated set of abilities like analytical, creative and practical abilities which we have just spoken about to achieve success by capitalizing on strengths and compensating for weaknesses, to adapt to, shape and select the environment. Sternberg has done many studies on successful intelligence. The two main studies done were among 3rd grade and 8th grade students to test the efficacy of triarchic theory of human intelligence as applied to classroom learning and performance. Students at the 3rd grade level were taught a social studies unit, and at 8th grade level were taught a psychology unit in one of the 3 ways. One is traditional instruction, primary memory based, critical thinking instruction which is primarily analytical based, and triarchically based instruction involving all 3 analytical, creative and practical instruction. Performance at both levels was assessed through multiple choice items primarily measuring memory and performance based items measuring analytical, creative and practical aspects of achievement. 3rd grade students also provided self-report measurement. In general, triarchic instruction, which included all the 3 elements, was superior to other modes of instruction, even on multiple choice based items. These studies clearly indicate that components of successful intelligence influence positively in children's academic achievement and learning. The studies also indicate that successful intelligence can be used to teach different subjects in schools. Teaching for successful intelligence is beneficial to all students with different learning patterns, and it enhances efficacy and level of performance among students. Now, let us summarize what we have learnt in this lesson. The present module deals with 2 theories of intelligence, Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence and Sternberg's triarchic theory. Howard Gardner contradicts with the earlier theories of intelligence, stating that intelligence is the combination of variety of abilities rather than just one underlying mental capacity or general intelligence. He collected strong evidence by studying the impact of culture on intelligence and proposed that humans do not have just intelligence, but rather multiple intelligence. According to Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, there are 9 distinct kinds of intelligence. They are independent of one another, and that each person has some level of each of these 9 intelligences. The 9 intelligences are linguistic intelligence, logical mathematical intelligence, musical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, spatial intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, then intrapersonal intelligence, natural intelligence, and finally existential intelligence. According to Gardner, each of these intelligences has a specific set of observable and measurable abilities. The first 2 abilities, that are linguistic and logical mathematical intelligence, strongly contribute to performance in traditional school system and academic achievement. Usually these are more promoted in our societies. The next 3 intelligence, namely bodily kinesthetic, musical and spatial intelligence, are usually associated with arts and is high among people like singers, musicians and dancers. The next theory is Robert Sternberg's triarchic theory. Sternberg views intelligence as the ability to adapt, to shape and select environment to accomplish one's goals and those of one's societies and also culture. According to this theory, there are three basic types of intelligence: componential or analytical, experiential or creative intelligence, contextual or practical intelligence. Sternberg states that the three types of intelligence are integrated and interdependent aspects, but not multiple intelligence like Gardner's theory of intelligence. Componential or analytical intelligence represents the basic cognitive processes. It is the individual's ability to reason, to process information and to solve problems. It basically comprises of three components, which are meta components, performance components and knowledge acquisition components. Experiential or creative intelligence refers to how an individual deals with new information or tasks. It includes the ability of a person to apply the existing knowledge when encountered with a new problem. This aspect of intelligence consists of two factors: novelty and automation. Next is contextual or practical intelligence. This is associated with cognitive processes necessary to fit in a particular environment. Practical intelligence relies on basically three mental processes, which are adaptation, shaping and selecting.